Abarenbou Tengu is a shit game. Like, it's really shit. It looks rough, it sounds jarring, nothing about it makes any sense, and it controls terribly. And I highly recommend that you buy it and you play it because it's worth every penny to experience for yourself. Now, why is something so bad deserving of such a recommendation? Well, to understand that, I would like to introduce you to the concept of kusoge, which is a deep, mystical, and very ancient Japanese aesthetic concept. For those of you who don't know, kusoge means almost literally shit game, with kuso meaning shitty or stinky and ge being short for game. It also often has a connotation of a game that is endearingly shit, in a it's so bad it's good kind of way. And in that sense, it absolutely perfectly describes Abarenbou Tengu and its Western counterpart Zombie Nation. In both games, you, the player, are tasked with saving the United States of America from Darkseid, an evil space alien who has crash landed in Nebraska on an asteroid and has then proceeded to enslave much of the population and turn them into his own zombie army. Now, there are some rather large inverted commas around the use of the word saving there, because how you go about this saving is you smash the country to pieces by firing flaming goo from your mouth and eyes at anything that moves and blowing up anything that doesn't. You can choose to start from any one of the game's 4 stages, with the stages covering some of America's most celebrated landmarks. Landmarks such as New York City, the Grand Canyon, and of course, the underground caverns of the north central US. Although 4 stages may sound short, each is actually fairly lengthy and is broken up into distinct sections, bringing the game closer to average length for a shmup. The visuals for these locations can actually be quite decent in places, although there is a lot of sprite flicker at times, with the section where you cross a waterfall in particular, which I won't show here for an obvious reason, seeming like it may well be capable of inducing seizures. The main difference between the two games is that in Abarenbou Tengu, which is the Japanese version of the game, you are controlling a Tengu mask, while in Zombie Nation, which is the Western version, you are controlling a holographic representation of the decapitated head of a samurai. The original publishers perhaps thinking that while razing New York to the ground might seem palatable to American audiences, doing so as a mask with a long nose would be a step too far. One other small difference is that in Zombie Nation, the original Stage 1 boss, the demon-possessed upper portion of the Statue of Liberty, has been replaced with a gigantic stone Medusa head, again the thinking probably being that this would make the game seem normal to Americans. Of course, the loincloth-clad muscle man boss, who throws spinning axes while somersaulting around the screen, was deemed acceptable to be left as he was in the Japanese version. Originally released on the NES, the game is naturally a somewhat simple affair. At first, most players will likely assume there is only one button, a forward shot that simultaneously sends goo straight ahead as well as arcing downwards to take out the many ground-based enemies the game throws at you. However, there is actually a bomb system, although it'll take you a while to build up to activating it. See, as you zip about on your destructive rampage, you will quite frequently see human figures sent spiralling into the air screaming for help. Move your mask or head over these humans to either catch or eat them, it's not entirely clear, and you will see the little man in the bottom right corner of the screen move one step closer to a flag. When he reaches the flag, your shot will level up. Level up to the 3rd power level, and the next time you do this, a star symbol will light up, indicating that you have a bomb ready. These bombs can't be stacked, but use one and you can then start building up to another one. It's actually a kind of interesting system, if a little unwieldy, but in comparison to the rest of the game, it is a shining beacon of game design elegance. Your main shot is, quite frankly, kind of weird. It's very hard to properly aim, and this is in large part due to the quite awful way your disembodied head controls, with a lurching quality to its movement that may leave you initially wondering if there's something wrong with your Joy-Cons. Fortunately, this doesn't matter too much because you can take many hits, with lost lives recharging pretty quickly if you can keep surviving and taking out enemies for more points. Unless, that is, you collide with one particular obstacle, namely a lightning beam, in which case your health will instantly drop to 1, and a single subsequent hit will send you tumbling to the ground. Quite why it was decided to make one otherwise innocuous seeming item so deadly is difficult to understand, but since there seems to be very little rhyme nor reason to anything that happens in the game, it's best just to roll with it. And this extends to enemy placements and their shots and attacks, which just fire in from all over the shop. I'm really not even sure what's going on with some of them, as sometimes they quite clearly hit you and leave you completely unscathed, whereas at other moments you'll think you're relatively safe, only to come tumbling down and facing a game over. So it's all the more fortunate that this edition has granted a rewind feature as well as a quick save function, both of which will greatly aid you and prevent you from getting frustrated enough to want to reenact some of the game's more destructive moments on the walls of your own living room. These quality of life features, which also include rapid shot, an in-game achievement system and an unlockable stage select, as well as a rather strange edit mode that seems to allow you to just pan around the stages enjoying the view, they are all nice and welcome, but this version of the game has also done a great job in providing players with as much historical material from the original releases as possible, with cover art, images of the physical cartridges, and a variety of promo shots being displayed in a gallery, and both games including their complete original manuals, the English manual detailing some quite fascinating little extra snippets of information, and for me really adding some genuine worth to the experience. And genuinely worth it is absolutely how I feel about this release. How would I rate it as a shmup? Probably about a 4 out of 10. But like I said at the start, I also wholeheartedly recommend it, as I think it's something almost anybody is going to find themselves having a thoroughly good laugh with, and the extra additions really do make the whole package something more to be experienced than simply played through and beaten. This is something of a cult classic, so I'm sure many of you will have already seen videos about it or played the original back in the day, so please do let us know your thoughts and experiences, and thank you all as ever for watching. See you next time. Cheers.